Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're a business leader operating here in Detroit, you already know our local tech market is absolutely exploding right now. But with all that massive growth comes a pretty serious headache, right? How do you actually pick the right provider when there are literally hundreds of them out there all claiming to be the absolute best? Well, today, we're going to act as your guide. We're going to take what is usually a super confusing, overwhelming vendor selection process and transform it into a clear, totally actionable roadmap. To make things easy, we've broken this down into 5 quick steps: defining your real need, comparing provider types, exploring an integrated partner, selecting a reliable partner, and lastly, the absolute must-ask questions before you sign anything. Let's jump right in. All right, step 1, defining your real need, which is really all about shifting your mindset. This idea right here hits the nail on the head. It shows exactly where so many companies trip up right out of the gate. You shouldn't just walk into a vendor's office and say, hey, we need an app, just because, your biggest competitor launched one last week. If you do that, you're instantly limiting your solutions. You're falling straight into the app trap. Instead, you have to start with the actual business problem you're trying to solve. Explain the outcome. Tell them you need to eliminate paper workflows, or drastically increase online bookings, or spin up a totally new revenue stream. The technology, that's just the vehicle to get you there. When you focus on the why instead of specific gadgets, your real needs just sort of crystallize. And Detroit has companies with wildly different strengths to meet those needs. Just think about how varied this gets. Do you need a CRM to finally kill off manual paperwork and get your leads organized? Or maybe you're looking for AI-powered tools to give you better forecasting. Or, hey, maybe you need a full-blown cloud migration with proper architecture, security, and ironclad backups. Nailing down that specific outcome is absolutely crucial before you start shopping around, because the vendor with the longest list of services isn't automatically the right fit for you. So, moving right along to step 2, comparing provider types and mapping out the marketplace. Categorizing these providers acts as your ecosystem compass. Because, spoiler alert, there is no magic one-size-fits-all winner for every project. Think about it. A small local retailer who just wants to drive foot traffic might strictly need a specialist digital marketing agency. But a growing manufacturer going through a massive digital transformation, they're probably going to require the much broader scope of an integrated technology partner. If you're building a sleek app-first product where the user experience is everything, you want a mobile studio. If you just need your corporate network lockdown, you call managed IT. You have to match your outcome to the provider category and then ask the right questions. Which brings us nicely to step 3, exploring an integrated partner, using Bizionic as our neutral case study. Now, you might be thinking about those different categories and wondering, why on earth would a startup or a big enterprise choose a single integrated provider instead of just hiring a bunch of highly specialized niche agencies? It's a great question, and it's one we definitely need to unpack before you start writing checks. Honestly, it comes down to avoiding a massive scattered puzzle. Trying to manage several separate vendors can be incredibly risky because of broken handoffs. You know how it goes. The design agency doesn't talk to the developers don't talk to the marketing team, and suddenly everyone is pointing fingers when a deadline is missed. But with one connected team, they operate like synchronized gears. They handle discovery, planning, design, development, deployment, and even that crucial post-launch marketing all under one roof. It massively reduces the risk of launching a product that falls flat. Let's look at what a truly integrated platform covers, using Bizionic as our example here. Their capabilities cover the entire life cycle of a product. They don't just build you a custom mobile app for iOS and Android and say, good luck. They can seamlessly connect that app to a massive CRM like Salesforce. From there, they can deploy the whole thing securely on major cloud platforms like AWS. And then, this is the kicker, they can drive actual qualified traffic to it through targeted SEO and PPC. It's a completely end-to-end connected journey. All right, on to step 4, selecting a reliable partner, using an 8-step blueprint. The first half of this blueprint is all about validation. Like we said in step 1, describe the result, not the tech. Step 2, look for comparable work. And I mean real, functioning work in your specific industry, not just some pretty graphics on their website. Step 3 is vital. Insist on a thorough discovery phase. A truly great provider acts like a detective. They want to investigate your workflows and uncover hidden risks before they ever quote you a final price. And step 4, please don't skip this one. Meet the actual delivery team. Find out exactly who is going to be writing code and testing your system on a random Tuesday, not just the slick sales guys who bought you lunch. Building on that, we move into the financial and legal protections. Step 5 is putting ownership in writing, which we'll expand on in a second. Step 6, review the total cost. Don't get bait and switched by a deceptively low hourly rate if things like cloud infrastructure and software licensing aren't baked into the estimate. Step 7, check the support arrangements for when, not if, but when, bugs pop up after launch. And finally, Step 8, tie the whole project to measurable targets. Agree on concrete metrics like qualified leads or page load speeds before a single line of code is ever written. And that brings us to our final stage, Step 5, questions before you sign. Consider this your final interrogation. Okay, huge warning here. Never ever assume you own the assets just because you paid for the project. You absolutely must clarify the legal ownership of the source code, the domain names, the cloud environments, and your advertising profiles right up front. Look, if things go south with this vendor a year from now, you need absolute 100% certainty that you hold the keys to your own digital house. Next up, you've got to ask about scope changes to avoid the dreaded scope creep. We all know tech projects are basically living organisms. They're going to evolve once development starts. You might realize halfway through that you desperately need a new feature. You have to know exactly what happens to your budget and your timeline when that quick little feature gets requested. Get their formal approval and pricing process in writing so you aren't hit with any nasty surprises. And definitely ask about life after launch. A flawless launch day means literally nothing if the system crashes a week later and it's just crickets from the dev team. Who specifically is monitoring the system? How quickly are they committed to responding to an urgent outage? And exactly how are your data backups being managed and tested? To wrap up this explainer, just remember that doing your due diligence is absolutely mandatory. A shiny list of services just isn't enough to make a strategic business decision. You need to compare the case studies, dig into their technical approach, review their security practices, and look at the real pricing across at least 2 or 3 providers. So, armed with this blueprint, I'll leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to stop just shopping around for vendors and start strategically selecting a true